Hey guys, excuse me, I'm back. Pulled up the latest run on the ISWA SWMF magnetopause, Z-cut, solar wind velocity. So I'm assuming that's the velocity there. And then the Batrus Y-cut. As I mentioned before, the Z-cut kind of looks straight down from on top of the planet, top to bottom look. This one's more of an equatorial view, sideways view. And that's how they calculate the phi angle. Here's the latest space weather from ACE, last 24 hours. And this ACE satellite's about, it's orbit about 1,000,000 miles between the Earth and the Sun in that fixed L1 Lagrange 1 orbit point. As you can see, the density's dropping, and we always have this gap. So I'm not sure why there's that gap. I still haven't figured that out. I'm gonna have to Google it, see if anything shows up about the gap on the ACE data runs. 'Cause it's been this way since I've been starting to monitor them back in maybe January. I began to notice it. It starts around the 2300 hour mark up to about the 0600 hour mark. So that's a good 7-minute gap. But anyway, as you can see, space weather coming from our sun is really quite calm. Temperature's low, speeds relatively low, the density's dropping. So phi angle's even not changed a whole lot. Like I mentioned before, the phi angle indicates a direct interplanetary magnetic field connection between the Earth and the Sun. Supposedly that's the only thing we're supposed to be connected with ever. So at the 180-degree mark, that indicates a direct connection from the Sun to the Earth, which is pretty much normal. And you can see that's been happening. When it drops below 180, then if it gets to 0, that's a direct connection from the Earth to the Sun, which I don't think that happens as often because, of course, the Sun's putting out a whole lot more power, so you would think that it would be connecting to us rather than us connecting to it. You got a little spike here, but that's not, I mean, I'm sure that's significant, but I couldn't really comment exactly. But when it gets up above 180, though, that indicates that there's something behind the Earth connecting with our planet. And I guess the stronger the connection, the further from 180 it would go. So I've seen it up around 360 several times for a long period of time. So that would indicate a strong connection between the Nemesis Sun, which must be behind our planet somewhere, or its magnetic field lines dragging around behind the planet and then connecting to the backside of the Earth at some point. But anyway, there's the KP index, so you can see again that we're not experiencing a lot of space weather from the sun, but we are experiencing a lot of space weather from behind the Earth, because this indicates the Earth here, this little circle. The bright side faces the sun, the dark side faces away from the sun. So we really should never be having anything going on back here. And as you can see, there's a whole lot of energy trying to come into our planet. These are the focal radiation electron belts. This measures the lowest form of low energy electrons at the 10 keV mark. And this measures the highest form of high energy electrons, and this is at the 4000 keV mark, or in short, to shorten it up, they went to 4 MeV. As you can see, this is the bow shock in front of our planet. This is, picture a boat. Earth's riding along, and this is the bow of our boat, our magnetosphere. And the waves build up in front of the bow of the boat. The energy coming from the sun mainly. As you can see, there's quite a lot of energy here. I mean, that's a lot of energy coming from even from the front side of the Earth. So I don't know. We got all these other magnetic field lines popping in here, interplanetary magnetic field lines. So I suspect that this Nemesis thing, like I mentioned before, the magnetic, it may not be directly behind the Earth, but it's somewhere closer to the Earth than the sun is, and its influence would suggest much closer in proportion. Now I know it's smaller than our sun, quite a bit smaller, so that would mean to me that it's probably quite a bit closer to be exerting this much energy on our planet. And some of these field lines, like I said before, they might be wrapping around and coming in from behind and making a connection with our planet. And it's not necessarily directly behind us. And by the same token, some of these interplanetary magnetic field lines from Nemesis might be coming around the front of our planet, because we got a whole bunch of them stacking up here. So they got to be coming from somewhere, and it's not coming from the sun. So it has to be coming from Nemesis. Whether it's coming and connecting to some of the other planets in the Nemesis system, that's would be my guess. But anyway, it's also exerting some pressure on the front side of the Earth as well as the back side. So you can see these monitors are all lined up pretty much time-wise. These four anyway. These are close. These are close. It's hard to get them all synced up because they're in they're differently calibrated a little bit. But they're close enough that you can see this energy coming in from the back side, pushing in, and then it makes the solar cap potential go haywire. And like I was mentioning before, a previous vid, the polar cap potential, when it's like minus 20 and plus 20, that's pretty much an equilibrium. When it gets to be like minus 50 and plus 20, that'd be a 30-point difference. And I noticed when those big earthquakes popped off, and this is when I was just noticing it, so I really didn't record it, the 8.1 or 3, whatever it was at Fiji, and a couple of the other big sevens, when they popped off. I don't think I got the Fiji one, but when the sevens popped off in near Venezuela and South America, and over in the South Pacific, this polar cap potential pretty much was crazy. We had like serious red and a serious blue, or vice versa, but they were both together, and the difference was pretty high, between 30 and 40, I believe it was. So anyway, what I was going to point out was this is the bow shock here, represented on these Folk radiation belts. And pretty much we got like one behind the Earth too. See how these closed field lines wrap around? There's a closed field line. These red ones, they're protecting the Earth from the backside, from anything coming back around from behind the planet. And you can see there's a lot of stuff, and this like squiggly line sort of might represent the magnetopause or the bow shock behind the Earth, which is not nearly as strong, of course, as most of the magnetic energy, electromagnetic Earth's energies pointed toward the sun to keep the solar radiation from destroying the planet, basically. So anyway, there you got that. But that, so you can see how this is really coming in, pressing in. And then I've seen it worse, so I'm not saying that this is totally the worst I've seen or anything like that, but it definitely shows that there is something behind the planet. And the way this thing gets crumpled up, you can tell that there's like pressure coming from the back and the front, or else this thing wouldn't be crumpled. The blue is the IMF, interplanetary magnetic field lines. They come directly from solar bodies or stars like our sun. There should only be 9 because of the number of planets in our solar system. And supposedly this binary twin Nemesis has 7 planets, so that would make 16. You go 16 times 2, that's 32. Interplanetary magnetic field line coming from both suns, both binary twins, our sun and Nemesis. That's the best I can figure. I pulled up the latest run on the Mauna Loa Solar Observatory. I made a video on this yesterday. You can see we're still getting these circle deals, which I think might be planets. And then the circles indicate some kind of magnetic field, perhaps. As this particular instrument, I believe, measures in a magnetic wavelength, electromagnetic wavelength, takes pictures in. And we got some up here. These could be moons or big asteroids, part of the debris field. There might even be another planet over here and over here I'm seeing, which kind of pretty much match up with a lot of the stuff I've been seeing people take pictures of and post online of the well, the FAA webcams for sure in Alaska, and then the Bloom Sky backyard cams come up with some pretty crazy pics. I mean, the pics are there. People just don't want to believe it. It's crazy. Here's one little last bit on the Benchy sky here. I touched on this several times, but this is the CAPE index. It measures the atmospheric potential energy in the atmosphere, and it's measured in joules per kilogram. And as you can see, got these straight lines running from here, here, and here, so that tells me there's some kind of a NEXRAD or some type of a frequency thing that to excite the atmosphere and to heat it up in order to, whenever a storm comes nearby, hopefully become a hurricane. Yeah, crazy, huh? So much our government loves us. But as you can see, there's no straight lines in nature, and the joules per kilogram is 28 on the inside of the frequency loop span and 1100 directly outside. So that's pretty huge difference there, guys. And this is spanning, can't see it once you click out, but it's spanning all of North America and across the northern half of Mexico. Then we still have the electromagnetic grid pattern, resonant grid pattern on the clouds all across the planet. You can check some of my other vids that matches up with HelioViewer and magnetic resonant grid pattern around the sun. Peace out.